ominous. All right, it's episode 60, guys. Welcome to the lab, Hxro Labs, live. Let's make sure we've got. Ooh, where did the trading view? Oh, there it is, hiding to the left. There you go. We're live in trading view. Do I need to push us live there? Johnson? Nope, we're good. Okay. Great to see you guys. Rune is in the house. Runeberg, great to have you. First message of the day, Dave Millett. Wonder if Dave is still sitting in a Walmart parking lot on his phone. DS is looking for a dump. Possible. Definitely my vibe up until about 12 hours ago when I decided to be a bull on alts. But we'll get into why, how, and where I am looking to get long very soon. How are you doing today, Nick?
Good, man. A lot of good market action going on. OTC is pretty vibrant right now. I think we're going to see a return of the pre-sales over these next couple of months as well. So yes. I might even have to do a section on that because that's, we did pretty well in pre-sales last time.
Yep. I'm really excited about pre-sales. I've got, honestly, probably like a third of my exposure right now is parked in some things that are either vesting or yet to launch. So that's always exciting because you can basically put in that USDT, write it off the books, pretend it's gone. And then, weeks, months later, sometimes days, if the TGE is soon, you just get it back. And often this summer at some X multiple. So I'm really excited about that. Don't get me started. Now, okay, we're live. We got it on Twitter. Guys, let's we got so much to cover today. It's going to be tough to fit it into an hour. I want to play Fall Guys later today. So I don't know if any of you guys know that game. Maybe I'll start by pulling that up. In honor of Bitcoin dominance falling. I want to get some Fall Guys going. Now, this is what I see. This is my latest thoughts. And it could be wrong. This is my dream scenario. I think this is a lot of people's dream scenario. Looking at Bitcoin, first things first, and I just decided this today. I think there was a lot. We better go back to like a daily. This is actually a weekly. So let's look at it on the weekly. I think there's a lot of people who will look at this and they'll say, wow, that's really high up. And it is. That's not an area where I tend to rush in to buy things. I did buy a little in March. I didn't go all in because I was a little fearful, but I did buy. I bought. I sold here and I rebought, so I've been doing some trading, but this is not a blow off top. It's just not. And it may pull back. This is a target that I would ultimately love to get, but it may not. And I'm not going to sit here in cash indefinitely because of this chart. It's just not, to me, it's not a blow off top. So fact number one, or at least the vibe I've got right now. And then zooming in, I look at this and I see, there's definitely, like, I could see people saying, oh, it looks like a double top, we're going to top. Oh, first of all, that's higher and not just a cheeky sweep and down. I mean, it's just kind of hanging out. So this is either going to just continue and my alt season dreams are dead. I mean, versus USD, they do maybe okay, but versus Bitcoin, I got to go back to Bitcoin. More likely, I think we range, could be upper range, could drop into the lower range. That would, a lot of people would sell their Bitcoin if we drop into the lower range, hoping to get a full drop. And I write death below here because I will cut my bag if we get a convincing anything down here. A little swoop, and it's going to be tough. I'll be watching if we did that. But I wouldn't, a candle close down here and then I'm just going to hold because, I'll just hold through. Because look, if that does break, then, that's your trend. It's in rough shape. We're probably going quite a ways and we won't go in one straight shot. So that sucks if that happens, but I'm not going to just blindly hold all coins all the way down here again, even if it comes fairly quickly. I'm just not. So there's my risk tolerance goes down to that level.
I think there's room for, /BTC pairs to do stuff in the short term, but as institutionalization drives Bitcoin, now there's talks about, Bitcoin being a reserve currency moving forward. they'd be doomed long term against Bitcoin. There's a lot will survive against USD, but against Bitcoin, like I expect pretty severe dilution if we see the institutionalization continue to ramp, which we've been seeing these last, specifically these last 6 months. But I think the COVID was a big spark for and match for Bitcoin. And look at all the governments already planning their stimulus round twos, right? Canada, US, like Europe. It just seems like there's going to be pressure put downwards on fiat. There's going to be inflation, fears over the next couple of years in the major G7 economies. And I think Bitcoin is going to see a massive inflow. Just around Bitcoin. So I do, the market can range and alts can have their day in the sun, but the long-term play is definitely to be accumulating as much Bitcoin and Ethereum as possible.
Yep. And so that's a really important point. And that's why I was kind of talking this chart through, because I am very bullish on altcoins now. I've got some positions. Some are breaking out today. Bitcoin made new all-time highs. I expect that could then obviously has drawn a ton of eyes. And what do you do when you shop the Bitcoin party when it's at its all-time highs? You say, wow, that's expensive. I'm so sad I missed it. And then one of your good friends looks over and says, hey, but how about this thing? It's washed out and it's the next Bitcoin. And so you get some of that speculation, and it tends to start slow and ramp up. Now, I've drawn this window to time as well. I think by Christmas, I would probably be looking to take profit if we have some kind of rally in here. I don't think this is like, I bought the bottom and hold it for 2 years. This is a trade. It's a window. We are in risk on, dominance broke down fairly convincingly, came up, retested it just like the squiggly had hoped. And now it's consolidating. And so just kind of as you saw here, breakdown, retest, consolidate, go. Then it chilled all through June and then went. I don't think we'll get I don't know. I don't know how big it'll be. I don't want to speculate, but I am long. I'm in position. Now, back to Bitcoin and ETH. If we break above here, I agree with you. I want to maintain my Bitcoin relative to, in general. I just want to maintain my Bitcoin balance as much as possible. So I will have to protect it. If we switch these and go down, that's cool. But if we break up and it's just starting to go, I'm going to have to go capitulate all my alts back to Bitcoin. Womp womp, party over. That's the trade. That's the game. Now, but look at dominance. Right now it's trending down. It's sort of a broadening descending wedge. If it broke up, that would have been a different story. It did not. So for now, and that's why I use this chart, right? So
I think DeFi caught really nice bids these past 48 hours, and I think we're going to see like a massive consolidation in the DeFi space. So I would expect some giants to be created over these next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, and when you say consolidation, you mean like
companies acquiring other companies, projects acquiring other networks, mergers.
Yeah, and speaking of which, the big name this week, the breakout, we thankfully caught, not perfectly on Twitter. Like we didn't get, the 143 calls out. But after that announcement the next day, I just thought, look, man, this thing just closed above daily support. Yeah. If we're going to have a party, this thing's probably going to lead the way for the next week or so. And it's not disappointing at all. So it's getting up into this consolidation over here. It's just pushing. And I don't see any reason why it should stop at this exact spot. It's kind of stopped there, consolidating. It's not violently being sold off or pulling back. So I think there's more in the tank for Sushi. This volume is convincing as well.
Yeah, like if you turn over to my chart here, it's a classic, literally, we talk about it all the time, the classic range expansion trade. So basically, if you missed the first move off that news there, you were waiting for this daily level. Oh, I don't have it on.
I saw a screen share. Maybe not.
Yeah, the screen share is on.
Oh, yeah,
right,
it's black as well.
Well, that's weird.
It's a strange.
Yeah. I'll try it. Yeah, I'm reloading it.
Oh, there you go. Is that
it? Okay, we're good again. We're good again.
Yeah,
okay.
Live shot. There we go.
Yeah,
it's above the header,
classic
though.
Range.
Okay.
Okay. So anyways, yeah, the classic range expansion trade above 195. This thing is clearly headed into this daily block here at 2.5. At that point, you can expect a little pullback. There's just so much momentum behind this right now. Like, look at that, the volume's been ramping up as well. And where does it go after here? Like, there's the only big level left really in this bottom range before this fucking thin air. It's going to be this 3.1 to 3.4. So that's the next trade after this. Like, it's really that easy. It's right, just trading. Breaks resistance. Okay, it's going to go to the next order block. Right? And if we can come into this level and break this, well, that's where things could get really exciting, in my opinion, because there's a lot of thin air up here to 5. So I think this could be the real money maker. With that 80% markup, right? So I think long term, Sushi is going to be a good play with Yearn. Essentially merging or willing to work with them. I think we're going to see more of these type of mergers and partnerships, and they're going to produce very similar market effects. So I think there's going to be a lot of really great trade opportunities as we go into this little trend of consolidations.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, I should point out Cream is another one that I'm in that they've kind of taken under the wing of YFI, not to the same extent. I think all of the Yearn's vault stuff is going to be taking place on SushiSwap. There's a bit more of a use case there, maybe a little more in depth, but I like Cream. This was the announcement breakout, so I bought the dip right around here, mid 50s, upper 50s. Didn't quite get filled. This filled me, but this is the Uniswap chart. I had bids on Binance, so they didn't fill the same on Binance. It was unfortunate, but I've got a position there now. Real quick, shout out to Naked Matrix. Says he or her, their familia is watching too. So welcome to the fam. And Chris Richards, let's see if I can get a watermark on here. Bing. There we go. Cream USDC. So yeah, that's one. Now, at one point today, I've got to share my list. Now, EGLD got away from me. I've been watching this thing so closely, and I don't know why I didn't long it. Because this daily just looks.
Wow, look at the volume ramp on that.
I know, it looks so delicious. Like I'm okay. I'm not too worried.
It reminds me of Bella.
Can't catch them all, but this is beautiful. And if anything, it's a nice use case or proof because there's a few other charts that look like this that haven't done this yet. So I am excited. I actually went to Binance Futures to long this, and the books were so thin and the volume was so low that I thought, oh, that's weird. Maybe I'll do it on spot. And then I just kind of got distracted and never went back. So that's one that I'm not going to buy because look at it. It's already up. So, and that's like the meme, right? Because then you could look back like, a month later and it's over here and you're like, oh, you missed it because of that. But I don't trade that way. I don't chase that. So let's see what I did buy today. And then I want to hear your thoughts on the macro here, Nick, because I might be getting tunnel vision with all my excitement. Algo. Didn't buy that. BLZ. I bought some BLZ this morning. And it's it's starting to work. I actually bought it on the Bitcoin pair. So let's go through USDT pairs first. Okay, weird one. Out of the blue today. Somebody brought this to my attention. I thought, damn, that looks really good. So I did buy some Axis on the breakout here. Because I just put the trend line on it. You get that first leg up, consolidate down, break the trend line, ride it down. Yeah, I didn't hit the perfect trend line. I noticed it this morning right around here, and I just thought, I'm buying that. So far, nice to see it is breaking out. And, same kind of thing over on the Bitcoin chart. Almost identical. So I'm really looking here. I'm going to be trading at 2 Bitcoin. I'm bullish on Bitcoin, so I will be settling in Bitcoin for now. And that's probably all the way up here as far as the next leg goes. And this is what I see for the next few weeks if conditions stay fruitful. What else? DOT is my largest holding just because it's so strong. I'm not worried about anything there as far as like, oh no, Bitcoin nuke, DOT's down. Well, that's probably one I might not even cut there. I may just be looking to add because it's not going anywhere. And like you keep telling me, Nick, they've got stuff coming in January.
Dude, it's fucking Moonbeam just launched a token as well. GLMR, that's gonna be a hot one. No doubt in my mind. 100x.
Oh, so let's take a look at that in a sec because I want to buy anything that you say is 100.
There's nothing to look at. It's not even launched yet. It's that early. I'm
Well,
just telling you guys. It's good. Like Moonbeam is like it's the fucking place to go for parachains, and right, like it's so fundamental to the Polkadot's ecosystem, and that's the token that powers it. Like fucking get a bag.
all right. Sold Moonbeam. Yeah, I've already been to this site. Oh yeah, we've talked about this before.
Oh yeah,
So this is coming up.
Yeah.
So whenever this launches, however we can get access to have as close to the first people to buy it as possible, we want to get some. And yeah, I'm really bullish on Polkadot. So that's my, that's my number one holding in alts. And I actually had a really good chat with our one of our marketing guys is Bitcoin OG, the founder of Whale Club, and he had a good chat with him yesterday, and he actually helped me kind of see a slightly different perspective, which is, I've been doing a lot of scalping. I've been on the 15 minutes. I've been watching Bitcoin carefully. I've been very concerned about that top, quote unquote. And I was missing out, I think, on what was right in front of me, which is huge breakout on the daily, retest, like he just said, dude, zoom out, look at the dailies, and then ask me, he asked me, he said, where do you think that those will be in a couple of months? He said, well, even if Bitcoin rolls over here in this kind of bullish state, I don't imagine it'll stay down there very long. As we saw in 2017 through the bull runs, it tends to be very sharp and aggressive and then come back fairly quickly. So in a few months, I see this thing being quite a bit more expensive. He said, okay, then why are you worried about it? Why are you sweating? Why are you trying to get so perfect? Why don't you just buy the dip? I was like, okay, you got me, bro. So
that's a good lesson in time horizons in trading. And that's why I say like having different accounts for different strategies and things is important. So you can kind of like remove bias because there's going to be bigger, P&L swings for the longer term stuff.
Yeah, and perfect example here from today on EGLD. I mean, I was watching this thing. It was on my short list. We talked about it on stream. I mean, what a perfect chart as far as like, if you were watching this thing since October and you're like, nah, whoa, look at that. Big volume, breakout. Look at this retest. But when this retest was happening, what was I doing? I was staring at the Bitcoin chart. I was longing, thankfully, a little bit down at the 16s, but I was mostly looking to get the fuck out when we got back up the highs again, thinking it was a short reload zone and a dump coming. And so I was, maybe look left, fool me once. Anyways, so yeah, dusk a little bit of, not a huge position. I don't know, too much about the project, but I like this level. Dia, did not buy back yet. Is that going to be my next EGLD? We'll find out. Also a very nice looking chart.
Probably looks like a bull flag.
It does, doesn't it? I know. I bought it. I sold it and bought it like 3 times through this consolidation. Like I bought the dip and then I was like, oh no, Bitcoin's going to dump. I sold it, bought a little back. And then I was like, oh, I'm not confident right now. And I sold it. I have not bought it back. So this is a reminder. I'm going to write it down because it is that season. And Dia is like an oracle, DeFi oracle. I mean, those are 2 words that rarely don't catch a break. Bell, I longed today. This is a much more hot trade in the sense that I'm long on it on some leverage from this sort of and just catching this breakout. So we'll see how this goes. But on a few time frames, this thing is breaking out.
I think we should quickly look at gold.
The volume. Yeah. Let's flip over to gold. Sorry, I'm so excited, and I've got some bags. And can't wait to talk about them. But you go. What's going on?
Yeah, it's important because I think we're going to see a generational shift in investor mindset over the next, say, decade as the boomers, grandparents we love die, and so goes their way of thinking. And we've seen massive outflows from the gold ETFs and a very almost like no retail investors are really moving into gold, especially with that younger generation, right? It's really just like sovereign wealth funds, governments, central banks a little bit. But I think, the conversation's getting sparked up again of could Bitcoin be the next reserve currency? And I've been saying that for like 5-6 years that it just made sense, right? And now we have $7 trillion asset managers saying, yeah, the case is there. And I think the lack of the erosion of trust in monetary policies from central banks is going to be a big driver of that. And at the end of the day, money speaks, right? So those policymakers could get heavily influenced by these large investment banks, family offices, sovereign wealth funds. And at the end of the day, Bitcoin's successful because enough people believe in it, right? That's been this game this entire time. Early adopters saw the value of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency for a multitude of reasons, whether it be financial gain, hedging inflation, hedging poor monetary policy, or trying to be a sovereign individual, which is pretty much dead for Bitcoin right now, unless there's a privacy layer developed, which I'm sure there will be. Will it be on Bitcoin? We'll see. But gold, again, this is a key level. If you read our newsletter, we've been saying this is a multi-year resistance. And it's flipping to support now. If gold breaks back above 1850, I'm going to say the bottom is in, and this thing is like gold will have a fucking huge run. Like people don't speak in absolutes, but it will. It still has that the narrative. It's held that narrative for 1,000+ years. So the move out of gold from younger investors, that's a macro play, right? This is going to happen over a longer period of time, but in the short period of time, gold's narratives hold up. So I'm expecting a really big, massive move in gold over these next couple of years. And I think this could have been like a serious generational type bottom buy on that. And then if you quickly look over at the SPX, like this thing is just primed to rip higher, right? Like look at this upwards flag, right? Like this thing is ready to go. And the other big driver around this, and it'll be good for crypto as well, and I'll bring everything together in a nice wrapped bow here in a second, is that as we roll out the QE programs, massive QE programs going into 2021, the kickstarts to the economies again, right? That's going to push equity prices significantly higher in 2021. So I think we see S&P 500 definitely hitting new all-time highs this week, in my opinion, unless there's like a black swan event, but you can't predict that. But the charts, the fundamentals, what we know is coming in the pipeline. Janet Yellen going to be the Treasury head, right? She's former chairman of the Fed. She understands the mechanics really well and has the relationships. Hopefully push the dial forward. But yeah, this is going to be a huge boom, and there's going to be a huge spillover to cryptocurrency. It's going to be amazing. Number will definitely go up. Like you can even see like Bitcoin here. Like things get really interesting if Bitcoin is closing above this level here at 19.4. If we're closing and consolidating above 19.4, like it's not a matter of if, but when this thing goes. But however, one important metric that we should bring up here, I'll drag it over here, because we were talking about the inflows on exchanges and stuff. Normally high inflows lead to downwards momentum. And this is what we were talking about it before our stream. So this is CryptoQuant. They really good data analytics platform. I've been using it in the past week here. You can see the exchange inflows are hitting that key two level, right? And this is a long period, two years. We've only seen that happen 3 times, and they've all coordinated really well with some down moves, right? The one thing I am looking at that I think we could be seeing a repeat of is this move here. So we saw a very large spike back in November 2017 during the last big bull run. It doesn't look like it played out in the charts, but it actually did. It did dump $2,000, which is pretty significant when price is only at 7,000, right? It's almost a 35% move. So I'm wondering if that's what this was here. So I'm not completely convinced. I do think this is. Exactly. I'm like wondering how much powder is left in these inflows that we're seeing, right? So I'm keeping.
They're not as high either, right? I mean, like that inflow is not as spiky as the others. It's sort of the beginning, perhaps.
Yeah, like I just think that was this the final dip? I don't think so. But I definitely don't. I'm not expecting a top off of this. Was I guess what I'm trying to say. Not versus what we saw here, where kind of created a prolonged downtrend. I don't think we're going to see that. I think what we're seeing here now is going to be more in tune with what we saw in 2017, especially with the institutional inflow. Like it's not we're not going to have that crazy retail speculation on this right now. It's just going to be that slow grind up. Dips will get aggressively bought up and trend will continue. So that's kind of how I see this market trading for the next couple of years. Like Bitcoin is going to get accumulated when it's going down. Bitcoin will be accumulated when it's going sideways. And Bitcoin will be accumulated when it's going vertical. It's that type of asset at this point. It's limited supply, right? It's just literally fucking perfect.
You've got actual whales fighting over it.
Yeah.
That's what excites me. And I think that's the tune that I kind of came to this realization. If nothing else, I just looked at altcoins. I said, look, as setups go, these things look ready. So I'm going to stop trying to get it perfect. I'm going to stop sitting on the sidelines waiting for Bitcoin to make something happen. Because while it's waiting, that's my bread and butter. That's the alts. So, but to your point, I mean, and I was saying this to you earlier on the phone. If you get, just say, one of these Bitcoin OGs, like these guys, it was a playground for them for so long, right? They had such a huge amount of this Bitcoin. They could move the market. They could coordinate. They could spot what each other were doing, and they were playing around with noobs, people that had no idea what they're doing, especially 2017, mortgaging your houses near the top to buy Bitcoin. I mean, they're going to sell. They will give back that Bitcoin, right? But now some of these guys, if they were to go and just dump 2,000 Bitcoin on the market, how confident can they be that they can buy that back and at what price?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the shift that I'm hoping and seeing, but I'm also a bit of hope there because I can't guarantee it. But that's the shift. So maybe that's 16, because on another view, that $16,000 dip we had, that was a very clean SR level flip. Like that was just a dip and go for now. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable right now.
And like one of my last points, just to bring everything together here, is that I think we're moving as you were talking about, the OGs had free reign of what they wanted to do, pretty much no oversight or anything like that. We call it the Wild West. Unfortunately, those days are pretty much over. I don't want to say guaranteed, but it seems like that I've been reading all the documents, so I know that there's a global crackdown coming in 2021 on Bitcoin and around personal custody and stuff, and it'll be narrated as we're cracking down on the classic tax evasion, terrorism funding and stuff. But in reality, what they're doing is just that they want a full mapping of all the wallet relationships and things, so everything can be tracked, right? So yeah, that's kind of the death of the sovereign individual in that sense. Basically, be tracked, conform, and you'll be okay. But there's a lot of early Bitcoin people who were in Bitcoin because it was an alternative to that system. But unfortunately, if a member wants to go up by institutional top-down approach, you have to play by the rules, or you will just be thrown in prison, because that's how it works in an authoritarian regime. Anyways, we are now entering the early majority phase. I'd say we're kind of probably right about here in this stuff right now. And we can see that as well. I think today we had the news come out that Visa, they're going to be incorporating USDC, right, via the Ethereum chain, I guess. And also that you could earn Bitcoin rewards as an option as well from your Visa purchases. So this is a huge shift by the financial giants, the incumbents of this centralized financial services. And we've been saying this for weeks, for months, like it's their years, like they literally have zero fucking choice but to adopt it at this point, because it has so much traction and momentum, right? So I expect, MasterCard, they've been involved for a while as well. Pretty much every financial incumbent you guarantee you that they're working on something around blockchain, Bitcoin, or Ethereum and stuff. So this is where we're going to see really big exponential, like really big fucking exponential gains in the crypto space. This early majority has all of the flooding. So not only is the institutional money going to come in, but now these financial giants and financial service incumbents, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to acquire, right? And then they're going to integrate those technologies that we see in the DeFi space now into their own products, and then they'll open the doors for their customers, right? So I expect a massive influx of users into crypto over these next few years, and there will be that's what the real big alt rallies will be. That's when you're going to see, like you were talking about, the trickle down of liquidity. We're not going to see that necessarily from the institutional side right away, because they use this asset in a completely different. They don't need to make money on $1 million market cap. They're looking to store their billions of dollars that they've already made, right, and generate a small yield off of that. So it's a completely different use case. And I think people really need to understand how different sized, how different stages of wealth, levels of wealth interact with this technology, right? Like the guy with $200, is looking to make that 100x. The guy with $2 billion just cares about preserving the $2 billion and
he'll settle for 6% yearly.
Oh, that's a fucking wow, 6%. That's amazing considering the majority of debt is now negative yielding, right? Bond yield's probably going to drop pretty close to 0% here in the next couple of years as well, with the massive QE going on. So yeah, this is a huge transition. I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to it yet, and I think it's going to be huge for the altcoins and just the user base rising. More importantly, so I think a lot of these companies, their equity values are going to skyrocket these next couple of years. I remember Poloniex, they sold at what was like a 20 to 1 P&L. I think we're going to be seeing some I think we'll see some very big acquisitions on the exchange front over these next couple of years. I'm talking about, who's Visa and MasterCard going to acquire, right? That type of level of acquisition.
Yeah. Hopefully BXY, one of my old bags.
Yeah, I've been a moon boy for, since I got into Bitcoin. It was very clear how this monetary policy worked. But again, this isn't something I'm just making up. This is literally the go look at S curves of adoption of all the previous technologies going back to the fucking toaster oven or electricity in people's homes. Like S curves of adoption, they accelerate over time because access to information and supply chains access to information is easier. So good ideas spread more virally, and more efficient, and also complex supply chains, which is actually a drawdown of that. But the more efficient supply chains gets the products to people's hands even quicker. And this is software, right? Like the lag on this is going to be even less than say the rise of the PC in people's homes and stuff. Hardware takes much longer to develop, manufacture, and distribute versus software.
I know. I'm still waiting on a fucking PS5. It's already been 3 weeks. Although there's a new batch coming out tomorrow morning, and I'm going to take a shot at it. Although I have very low.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I know, right? But no, that's the kind of macro I like to see. I mean, that's when I got into crypto. I was trying to do a piss poor job, apparently, of shilling people on that kind of viewpoint, which is buy here, buy there, but buy because in the next 10 years, this is a trend on a very large scale that is going to continue. I always like to just dumb it down and say, look, the people who decide what things get to become things have decided that this will be a thing.
Exactly.
I mean, we were seeing that even in 2017 with the launch of the CME futures, which ironically ended by marking the top of the market, but they shorted the shit out of it. But anyways, that makes me bullish.
My last point, bringing it all back to crypto and like actionable intelligence, is like DeFi is probably the best bet besides accumulating Bitcoin and Ethereum. Is the best bet you could be making. Like we got TLV at 15 billion. I don't know what the market cap is off my head, but last time I looked at it was 15 billion. It's probably much higher now. The centralized financial industry is $22 trillion of global value through that. So do the math. If DeFi even takes
19 billion right now, by the way.
18 billion, yeah, like
19,
holy fuck, what an opportunity, right? That's why it's so important to accumulate the so in this consolidation phase that we're about to go through, and just literally just started doing now. It'll probably last for like a year here, and things move faster in crypto, so maybe like 6 to 12 months. Getting some shares in those is going to be critical, because their next step, like what's everybody doing right now? They're hiring front end developers. Why? Because at this point where DeFi is that they've worked the majority of things of the mechanics of what we want and generating yield, they've been developed. They're constantly getting tested. Sure, we still have smart contracts getting blown up all the time, like at least once a week normally. That's going to smooth out though, right? Like that's a trend that will decrease over time, right? Things get more secure as people understand them better, right? All the exploits that people are seeing with flash loans, like it's new technologies. Like people are experimenting and they're trying to attack it. The whole point of cryptocurrency and these networks are that if they're designed well, they're anti-fragile. They only get stronger when they're attacked, right? Bitcoin has been a really good proof of that. Ethereum as well. Like how many big explosions has Ethereum had over the years, right?
The DAO.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I wasn't around for it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, it was amazing. But now look at DAOs, right? If you're a company and you don't have a roadmap of transitioning some portion of your network to a DAO structure, people look at you funny, right? So it's just this complete shift in mindset. And I think DeFi is going to easily, in the next few years, multi-trillion-dollar market cap. It's a fucking no-brainer. So like as I was saying before, right now we're everybody's going to have to make really nice front ends and user experiences so that those guys can then get either acquired by the incumbents that we were just talking about, or B, they will white label their solutions, or C, just full on integrations via widgets or something like that. But imagine logging in, and why that's going to happen is because, as I was just talking about, what do people want? What do you look for when you're choosing a bank? You look for yield generation through interest rates and savings accounts, right? But all of those are fucking bottomed out or going to negative inevitably because they're based off fiat, right? That monetary policy is flawed, and they're exploiting it via the issuance of massive amounts of new debt that devalues everything. So I think interest rates will continue. I don't see interest rates going back up to 10, 15% anytime soon. I think if anything, we'll probably see them go negative in the West. People say it won't happen, but they thought that in Europe, and here we are. So it's only a matter of time. It's just the monetary system. That's just the only route it can go to. Well, they'll extend the life of it, but that's why I think we'll see a transition. So I think DeFi, the ultimate fucking bet to be making right now, like even more so than Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin, it could easily 10x, but with DeFi, we're talking 100x, 500x on a lot of this stuff. Even from here, like we're that early.
Dude, this is the 2016 of like ICOs, in my opinion. And we talked about this before, like Stratus, for example. Remember? So I joined 2017, and my first ICO was Storage Coin, which is now trading futures. It's there. And I don't know what they raised, but generally that year, people were, companies were raising $30 million in 5 seconds. And I was new, and I don't really know finance that well at the time. So I'm like, oh, that's fucking crazy. That's normal. And then I look now and I'm like, man, these companies typically fight tooth and nail to raise like a couple mil. And so the fact that that was a good bubble sign. But in 2016, Stratus, which got delisted from Binance lately, so I don't know what they're like now, but they 200x'd from their ICO in 2016. They only raised $600,000. I mean, talk about being 1 year ahead. I mean, or 1 year too soon. I mean, if they had raised a year later, they would have probably taken that same idea and raised 50 million without blinking. Mm-hmm. Point being, I feel like the pre-sales we're doing now, some of these new DeFi tokens that are coming out at sub 4 million market cap, it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, this is a place where I want to be parking some value for a month, for a year, for 2 years. And I say a month because, like you said, I still don't know what Christmas holidays will be like every year. I always feel like there's going to be a little sell-off there, but who knows? I'm not worried about what the next month is. That's a good segue. I think your comment on sort of the DeFi stuff is a great segue. We got a lot of people watching over on Periscope. So to you guys, great to have you on there. Somebody's asking, what in DeFi? There isn't a single DeFi coin. Yes, we're going to get into some specifics. Teramius over on TradingViews says, very out of the loop on DeFi. What would be some good bets? So this is a great time to remind everyone this is not financial advice. None of this stuff is. I might talk about a coin today because it looks great. Tomorrow, shit the bed, and you won't hear from me because I'm not live. I'm not going to be live tomorrow. So if things change, everything just changes. I lose money all the time. I lose at least 40% of all my trades. So with that disclaimer, I'm going to pull up this DeFi list. So if you haven't looked at this, I want you guys to flip over. John, if you could flip over here. Yeah. So if you haven't looked at this yet, I put the link in all the chats. This is just a list of all the DeFi projects. It's on CoinGecko. I aggregated it for you. And it's not every single one. It's, I guess, the top 100. So there's definitely some new ones that are not on here yet. I actually picked some of this up today. So yeah, little DFD is a name that I find interesting. I think A lot of my DeFi picks that are on Uniswap I get from Crypto Messiah, who we work with in the lab, and I'm very fortunate to have his ear and vice versa, so that I can talk to him about some of this, because he dives into this stuff. You guys over on Periscope know what I'm talking about. So Rook is one that I might actually buy back. I kind of made a flip play on it earlier on this little rally. It's down. I don't even have to draw the fib. I know that's in my reload zone, and it just broke out and it's flagging. So I actually really like Rook. Real quick, I mean, this is one which is looking interesting. I don't know why this is being really slow right now. Chart X Pro. Maybe the whole world is trying to FOMO into DeFi. It's crashing the charts. I did a lot of altcoin buying today, man. I'm not gonna lie. I totally flipped my approach today. I've been a bit cash heavy up at these highs and kind of fearful. And then today, I'll show you guys why, but there's just this chart I made and I'll help you illustrate. But yeah, and then this one, same kind of thing, right? Breakout, nice volume coming in, pull back into the reload zone. I'm interested, higher low, let's go. Now, HBAR picked some up this morning. I mean, this thing, look at this thing from earlier in the year. This is January. This was my first big trade of the year. I was buying down here just because there's a setup, you know, bullish divergence down at the lows, made a W, looked like it was breaking out. And then it just went nuts when Google announced a partnership. I've been waiting to buy my bag back for a long time. I tried once here, got roasted, sold it, and now I bought back this morning. So I actually get a nice, really green candle here, which is good. On top of my buys, always feels nice. Bell, I'm watching like a hawk. I've longed it. I like this breakout. I don't think this thing is done. I think this is the beginning of a larger breakout. Think sushi for reference. EGLD we talked about. Already missed that one. No big deal. I mean, pullbacks. Could be pullbacks, but for now, I can't buy that. BLZ, another name I bought. You know, at the lows. I think this one does more justice on the Bitcoin chart. Where is that Bitcoin chart? Get rid of this guy.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it should be here, actually.
God,
yeah.
So many setups.
Yeah, everything, right? And that's the nice thing. So look, somebody asked me, they asked both of us. John, actually, he said, look, you know, are you guys altcoin maxis? Are you Bitcoin maxis? And I'll tell you what, I'm both. I believe in being all in one or the other at any indefinite time. And I use this chart to tell me what I want to be in. Okay. And so this is Bitcoin dominance. When it's trending up, everything's getting wrecked versus Bitcoin. Why would I sit in the other things? I'm going to move to Bitcoin. Simple trend analysis. When this breaks down, altcoins are potentially back in season. Why would I sit in my Bitcoin when they're gaining versus it? So I get back and I start looking for setups in altcoins. And I will continue looking for setups in altcoins and holding my altcoins until this reverses. And we talked about that down here. And a lot of people stopped watching and they said, you guys are bears, man. That sucks. And it was like the end of August. Altcoins were at their highs. A lot of them were making new all-time highs, the newer ones. And I'm just sitting here like, look, this looks iffy. And then as soon as it broke right here, even though a lot of them had already come off their highs, that's when I sold the last of my altcoins. And it was basically all cash and Bitcoin and for the rest of the year. I mean, look how that aged. I mean, the squiggly.
The market's
happened to
90%.
Yeah, and they're down 90%. And for the most part, I've maintained my Bitcoin value despite having some cash. So I actually went down in some Bitcoin value during that big rally, which is unfortunate, but whatever. But then, I'm ready to go and ready to deploy again. So look, it's alt season coming up, but it's not alt season yet. People like to say, right, like, well, I don't see any major pumps. Dude, it starts off slow.
Exactly.
It's boring because leg 2 is caused by the people from leg 1 bragging to their friends about all the money they made. And so nobody's made any money yet. So it's not a lot of noise, but it starts slow. So what are we looking for? What are the signs? Why am I so excited? Well, you've already seen my take on the Bitcoin dominance. So we've broken down, we retested, which was the ultimate dip to buy. But like I said, I was so scared of Bitcoin at the highs that I didn't, but I'm getting in now. I've got some interesting positions that I found. And so I think alt season lives here. I think that big dip we had before the holiday last week, for the US holiday anyways. I'm Canadian, but I always just assume the whole world is American, but they're not. But this dip I think our viewership is somewhat American heavy.
Yeah, it is.
Look, this dip here marked us at a low. It was actually a really nice throwback on the higher time frame. So it actually doesn't have to just be the start of a big dump, which at first I thought it must be. So I've kind of reanalyzed, changed my tune a little bit. If we break down into here, that's actually not that bearish. That's pretty standard stuff. It's bearish short term, but like it's just consolidation. This could go on for quite a while. How that will interact with this range, exactly, I don't know. If we break and close above here, I have to sell my altcoins. I have to go back to Bitcoin and ETH most likely. That will probably coincide with something like this. And that's just doom. I don't want to hold my altcoins if that's going to happen to them, unfortunately. Although versus USD, they may still do well, like you said, but I want to be in the fastest horse. So I use that chart. Now, alternatively, we could end up, flagging here and then break and then retest and break and then ooh and then ooh. If we get below here, I got to get out of everything. I got to get out of my Bitcoin. I got to get out of my ETH. I got to get out of my altcoins, get pretty close to probably 80% cash plus. I don't want to do that, but there's a lot of space below and I don't want to have to hold through that and make tough decisions down the road. I will just get out. It's possible. I think that's improbable.
Yeah.
So this is my look for December, and it kind of comes to an end near the end of December. I expect if there is a big rally through here, that will be a short-term top, perhaps. I'm not going to call tops, obviously, before the rally even starts, but I do expect that through the end of the year, we'll see some sell-off of any kind of rally we get through that. And so, stay tuned because we'll be watching the actual chart. This is more of a macro look at what alt season could be. So, as long as we're in this range, it's going to be sick. I mean, look, alts could break out and we're hanging out, and then Bitcoin moving to the range below, that's the first big dip in altcoins. And then it just continues to range and they get leg two. And then,
the danger of being so exposed to altcoins is that with the demand on Bitcoin, it can literally rip at any time. You just never know when it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but you just don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's actually why I'm glad you brought that up, because that's why I think it's so important. And I say this all the time, almost joking, but real talk, if you're going to FOMO early. Because I don't know why all these are here. These were not here earlier. It makes the crammed chart very hard to read. So look, if I am in from this low and we start to rally, I can put my stop loss at break even pretty quickly, right? And then if Bitcoin decides to nuke, I'm pretty much protected. At least at the very least, I won't, I might give some money back, but I won't be giving back what I initially put in. So that's a key point. So I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I want to de-risk versus Bitcoin as soon as I can because I'm super bullish on it. And that's why I think buying into these kinds of range lows before it's like, oh, for sure it's an alt season now because I'm already up 40%. Now I'm going to buy. Well, now you're setting up A, to just get wrecked short term before the next big leg up, and then you're shaking yourself out. Or B, like Nick said, very possible that this just ruins the party at any time. I mean, it's just very possible. I mean, this thing, every time you see a red candle looks bearish. Every time you see a green candle looks bullish. That's the nature of consolidation. But I mean, this thing could just go like this next week, tomorrow. I don't know. But while it doesn't, I'll tell you what is going to happen. All the people that have come to crypto because they heard Bitcoin's making new all-time highs, they're sitting at home. There's a lot of new lockdowns. They're all looking for ways to offset some of their financial woes or just make more money. They are watching right now, and they're going to be hard-pressed to afford and buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin. The returns on that visually are not as sexy. What are you going to get, 2x in the next year, maybe more? But enter Polkadot. Somebody finds out they have the wherewithal to look into this coin. I mean, this is the BTC chart, not as much the point, but look at Dot versus Tether. I mean, this is a beautiful chart, and it's a multi-billion-dollar market cap already. But look at that. You're early. It's a new thing. The friggin' pair chains are not even launched yet, right? Those are the kinds of conversations I think are going to start happening. And I just want to be ahead of the pack. So that's why I'm moving into altcoins. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend blindly buying all in altcoins and then just holding and hoping for the next year. I think that's not how I trade, but I'm certainly long as fuck right now on a number of the big names. And see what the chat's up to. I see a few things moving away. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything.
I got all the charts lined up.
Yeah, okay. Let's dive over to your charts and I'll check the chats.
Cool. John, we good? Okay. I assume
You're on.
Yeah,
you're
all
on.
right. Yep. So MTA, fuck this coin most of the time, but it's actually making a kind of a nice setup down here right now. So it's whoever bought this pump, RIP. But people who are smart and waited for the retest, great reload zone down here, around this like 1 to 1.13. This is the daily spring, daily consolidation block, order block, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be some great trades to be had here. This is a nice little hammer candle right now. So as long as we're holding this level here, like you can just put your stop like just under this, like even daily candle low here at 925. I think this is a good level to accumulate a little position. I have to look up the distribution schedule again to see how much more is still coming, going to be put out there. But from a technical point of view, this is a great daily level. What would you be looking for? Well, if we do see a move up on the alts, MTA usually lags behind a little bit, but then does those super hard candles in one go. It's a 40% move to the top of the range here, followed by the range expansion trade above that. That would take this is a huge level to have. If this, for me, this is the real signal if MTA is switching to a true bull market or not. I'm going to need to see it close above 2.45 around there. And if it does, well, my God, the trade opportunities on these are going to be amazing because we're going to be trading like that, right? So, if you want to be the maverick and take the trade down here, you're going to have to be willing to see some downside, right? At 25%, any 3x leverage, and you're almost looking at a liquidation on that. So, careful buying it on leverage at these levels, but there is, really nice upside to be had on this one. Quickly moving to band, really nice chart on this one. Again, RIP to anybody who bought into the FOMO pumps. Things pretty much retraced back all the way down. But now, what do we see here? Well, we have a former little resistance block here at 5.2. Yeah, 5 points. So this is your buy zone, right? So this is the spring of the entire move. Right, on this pump. I think it was a listing pump when it got added to Coinbase. So 4.1 up to 5.5 is the buy zone and level to hold. So we can see right now we can take that resistance off 5.3, turning to support. So if we do clear this, this is a 3-day chart, so high time frames, right? If we do clear this $6.9 to $7 level, very confident that this price will be headed back up to that $10. And that's a great trade. That this is an unfilled. Actually, technically, we did it here, so I retract that statement. But in terms of price movement on this, what would you be looking for? Well, if we close above here, look at that fucking beautiful trade to be had there. And again, the range expansion trade. You're going to be looking at something like this, 40% to the top and into the wick zone. Your downside, if you were to purchase right here, thinking everything's going to be okay. It's pretty significant on leverage. You're looking at 20%. And for a true invalidation of the bull, it's a 43% drawdown. So it's not the greatest entry on leverage. I wouldn't recommend it here. And that's kind of why I wait for the signals. I like buying into the momentum, right? Not hoping it just shows up, even though, all signs point to momentum showing up. Quick look at YFI. This one, we posted this on our Twitter. We absolutely crushed it. We've had this level marked out for a while, 18.7, 19K. Sure enough, it was the bottom. Hey, it's rallying like fucking crazy. Its last resistance level, I may as well fucking just delete this thing, right? Because we are blasting through it right now. So it's the last resistance level to have any meaning. Is probably going to be right up here. So we're kind of tapping it now, right? What would you be looking
crazy?
for?
That thing's going to be worth over $40,000.
The thing, I think like if you're looking for a buyback, it's probably going to be in this, this little range right here. So from like 29.7 down to 28.8. I think it might have already tapped it on the shorter time frames. Okay, it kind of tapped it. Yeah, it did actually. 29.7 right there. So that's actually pretty bullish. Now that we're seeing this former resistance here, flipping to support. If YFI can break above this 32K, I think it's going to run pretty hard. Again, they're just buying and integrating everything right now. Volume looks pretty good on it. So,
now they're turning into like the Walmart of DeFi, in a good way, like in a business way, not like if you don't like shopping at Walmart. But here's the thing. What do you say to somebody like myself who doesn't buy a pump? I just won't. I'll buy the consolidation after like one sometimes, but I won't buy a pump. And Sushi, BZRX, BZRX if you're American, YFI, CRV, they're all up double digits today. YFII, like DeFi's catching a pump. And here's what's exciting, and the point I want to make is that I'm actually more about the echo pumps. As bold as I want to be, just getting in at something before they even rally and just be that guy. What I always found in 2017 that worked the best was waiting for a face ripper. Like, oh shit, stuff's ripping faces. Because then what happens, and I'll use BNB as an example, it was my favorite pump. Because after BNB went crazy, then KCS went crazy and Huobi token went crazy and all the exchange tokens started to go insane. And so you could find, and then it just turned into like find any exchange token that hasn't pumped and buy it season. And so what we're seeing is, DeFi Perp, YFI, Sushi now, BZRX, that's a pattern, right? It's not like they're all suddenly changing what they're doing. That's speculators saying, hey, we're buying YFI stuff. We're buying stuff that's like YFI. So you got to now look this week, instead of staring at these double-digit gains and thinking you want to buy them, you could still buy them. They might go up 500%. I don't know. So I'm not going to say don't buy them. They're bullish. But personally, I am now looking, what is next? What is that trickle down? What are those mid caps? These are the blue chip DeFi. Where's my mid cap DeFi? Because they're next. And if they go, then you better start hunting those micro DeFis, those Cover, HAKKA, Keep, Team, Finance, like all these ones that are in our request chat, oddly enough. NFY, NSURE, Bot, Riot. Riot's a stock, but I know what you mean. But you know what I mean? So for those of you who are new, what's after BZRX? That's exactly what we're here to figure out. So, and what you should be thinking about. And so I will go back to this. John, if you want to flip over. I will go back to this. We've got market capitalization in order, and these are on the Binance. These are on the CoinGecko list for DeFi. So, have you looked at Flamingo Finance? I don't know. Have you looked at any of these others? Oh, these are actually the smallest ones. Let's go to the biggest ones. Chainlink is here because it's involved with DeFi in an Oracle sense. I don't know if I'd call that a DeFi coin. It's kind of its own thing. But going down this list, Aave 15% today. You're in finance. Look, by the way, guys, these are not alt season numbers. I mean, Wi-Fi on the chart is really high up, but like real alt season, the one Nick's talking about where DeFi goes into the multi-100 billion market caps next year, ideally, that's hundreds and hundreds of percent. So these are ones you can start looking at pullbacks on. But if you missed round one, like most people did, right? A lot of people are in fear mode, or they're sitting in Bitcoin, or they're whatever. Look for the echo pumps. Echo pumps are the best thing because you can see them coming. Rune is one that I find interesting. I keep seeing it doing okay. I think it started to break out today. Let's have a look. Versus Bitcoin, because Bitcoin looks pretty bullish. Look at Rune. Ooh, look at that level. If this thing goes from here, all retests are for buying. So there's one. There's a name to chew on. Apparently, Thorchain is DeFi. You could argue there was already a setup here. Like myself, always looking for those nasty. Look at that RLZ, baby. Having those orders working in those kinds of regions on fear days during a is great. Get filled, but pump chaser zone just moved out of it. Clear this level, which actually right now is resistance. Then retest and go. Gonna be sick. Longed Rune a couple days ago. So happy. Yeah, I would be happy if I longed that thing a couple days ago. It's moving. Now let's look at Ethereum real quick. This is me a few days ago as it comes into these highs, bearish divergence, all that. And, we saw it dump, recovered, and hasn't dumped again just yet. It's actually moving up really nicely here. So what is all this noise here? Let me break it down for you, what I've been watching on E. This is going to be an ongoing theme for my bright and colorful charts, and that is fib pong. So we've heard about this before. Yeah, pong, trending up. Okay, nice and easy trend through the Thanksgiving weekend. Cool. Smackdown. What does that do? It shocks the asset into consolidation. So what do? Well, I draw my fib. And so when it was down here, I'm going to close this. When it's down here, I'm not thinking about selling. That's crazy. It just dropped $70. What do? I draw it. I wait for this reload zone. Look at that. Almost to the pip. Hits the sweet spot. Goes up. Almost hits the 786. So if I'm thinking short, I'm shorting here. Where's my target? Well, initially, it's the reload zone of that move. When I take the low, I take that high. There you go. Flipping bullish again. Or closing half my position and hoping maybe, for that trade's sake anyways, that it dumps further. Now, delete this. I'm done with that. Where's the next one? Well, let's do this. Let's draw it to here. So now I've drawn it from this high to this low. I'm getting smaller now. We're consolidating. And look at that. Trade it back up into the reload zone. Crazy shit. Fib pong. It looks good here today. It always does on these things. When it's rolling down, it looks like it's going to dump. When it's going back up, it looks like it's going to pump. You never know when the final breakout will come. But by this time, you've already had 3 trades on fib pong, right? Wait for the smackdown. Then wait. Don't just long it blindly here because you don't know what's going on. But once you have your clear range, short, long, short, long, right? And you can just be, that's the way I'm scalping in general these days as I started to really iron out this setup. And sure enough, back here, and now we're into an even tinier reload zone. So by this strategy, this is not a breakout yet, but I bet you everyone looking at it's like, we're going to the moon. So, it looks pretty good. We got this close, but if this wicks down before close in 54 minutes, that's just a wick. And then, yeah, you do have one more, although they get riskier the further you go into the triangle. But if we don't break out, here, I'll bet you dollars to donuts we gonna head right back down into here. So that's fib pong, and the more I talk about it, hopefully the better we'll get at spotting it and learning it, because that is that's one setup. But in there, I got one short, long, short, 3 trades. Arguably could have longed here again and gone for the 4th trade. In one setup. Ugh, just sweet. It's not easy. You got to figure out exactly what fib level you're going to enter on. Where is that stop loss going to be? How are you going to measure that risk? There's some details in there, but in general, oh my God, I'm in love with fib pong. So we got a lot of requests today. Do you want to start some rapid fire here?
I got HUD 8 pulled up right now.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I did a thread on blockchain stocks 3 weeks ago, and do you know how much engagement it got?
0, probably.
Literally 0. Not one like, not one. I think one comment. But I will pull up some of those.
A lot of people don't have access to those.
Yeah, and that's fair. I don't really care. It's just I thought it was kind of funny because now, a lot of them are pumping.
Moving.
Look at this thing.
Let's take
just a quick scan. Look big. This is my watch list that I put out. A couple names, not that one. There was a few that just looked good. This is like let's go to Hive. I think Hive's been going crazy on the weekly. Yeah, look at this thing. Put this out in late October when it was just looking like a slow trend up. And then, of course, Bitcoin's making new highs. It's going to melt faces because it says Hive blockchain technology. HUD 8. A lot of the traders I know are banging out doubles here this week after buying into this reload zone. And I think the last one I'm in is that ETH mining stock. But I agree with you. If they're going to proof of stake, it's a weird sales pitch. For POW.
It's like, our business is going for the business.
Yeah, Mara. I know a lot of guys over at TRI have been long on Mara. Shout out to them for finding that. Riot, I actually have an old free position in. I'm not selling this thing. I'm in no rush Get a couple hundred shares of this because I guess it was, I don't know when it was, sometime either this year, it might have even been last year, but I bought some, sold half on a double, and I just noticed last week that I still have it sitting in my stock account. So that's cool. Free position for life. Let's see how high it goes. That's about it as far as like quick and dirties. I have some of this, and it's not a blockchain stock, but anyways, yeah. So blockchain stocks, you know, if you're worried about, oh man, I missed Bitcoin. I mean, there's so many ways to get long on this bull trend. Blockchain stocks. Yeah, Kodak, I think in 2017 talked about how they were moving, or you know, they were going to implement some kind of blockchain thing or whatever it was, and they like 10x'd on pre-sale, like pre-market. It was crazy. Maybe we can even find the chart since everyone probably wondering what I'm talking about. Yeah, look at that. What's that? What? Is that July? No, was that this year? Maybe it was this year they did that. No, it was here. God, they did it again. They just keep pumping their stock. But yeah, it was this January 2018. Yeah, it was like right after the big highs. And then Kodak's like, hey, we're going to do some blockchain. It was like, oh yeah? How about 7 to 10x? So anyways, be bullish on everything blockchain if you expect crypto to do well in the next few years, guys. Start hunting those dips.
Yeah. So I got Hut 8 pulled up here, Canadian mining company, kind of a subsidiary or former subsidiary of Bitfury. Yeah, they're up. You know, that's kind of natural. This is the 2-week chart here. When Bitcoin's doing well in the mining, you know, the institutions are pouring in resources to the mining space. These guys are going to get a piece of it. Why? Because mining's tough. There's you need electrical engineers, you know, you need mechanical engineers, hardware engineers, ASIC specialists, technicians. Like, there's a lot more to it than people think. If you've ever visited a large scale, you know, 20, 50 megawatt mining farm, they're fucking huge. They're loud, and they, you know, take as much energy to power a small city. So it's by no means it's just evolved so much. Like, you used to be able to do this shit off your laptop, and now you need, you know, tens and tens of millions of dollars to actually spin up a, you know, a large operation. And you know, there's operations in China and Russia pushing, you know, 500 megawatts, which is a fucking ungodly amount of hash power as well as energy. So the 2-week chart here, do I think Hut 8 is going up? Yeah, I do. Especially, you know, as the institutional demand increases, like, you know, it's kind of broken out on so many different levels. The only thing missing now is a move above this 210 range right now. And, you know, there's a lot of mining companies to choose from. I think Can's been doing really well. I think it's like spelled like that. I don't actually know if this is the right one. Is this one? Yeah, this is it. Wow, look at that. Holy fuck. They went up to $7 and they've dumped back down. These guys are a hardware manufacturer. They've had problems internally. We were tracking it for months. We were just like, you know, bearish on this thing all the way down to like $2. But they're back because the industry is thriving once more. You got a limited amount of manufacturers of the hardware. Like, again, just a supply and demand thing, right? Yeah, everybody wants the miners, and you only have like 3, maybe 4 big guys who can actually fill the quotas. So it's very natural that we see appreciations in those stocks moving forward and stuff. I guess I can quickly dive into one of these charts here as well. Cover, I don't think it's on here. HAKKA, is that on here yet? Yeah, it's on the Uniswap here, right here. Let's look up the ETH one. Wow, look at that. 2-week chart here, guys. 3 weeks of buy volume. That's a fucking rocket getting prepped for launch. Pull it up here on the 3-day chart. So yeah, we have to even go lower. Sometimes finding levels can be difficult. Okay, here we go. So we got something to work with here.
Ooh, HAKKA.
Yeah.
Somehow found its way into my top 5 bags in the last month.
How'd that happen?
I don't know. I just kept adding.
Oh, well, yeah, I think it's going to work out well. You know, and I think the floor right here is probably going to, you know, right down off these lows. I'm not going to get into it. There's like fucking, what is that, 5 zeros or 4 zeros in front of that number. But the point is, we'll just take a look at it in terms of percentage moves and when the trade triggers. Well, you know, we're looking for that close above the range, right? And look, wow, like there's so much movement to be had here off of this. I think it's only on Uniswap right now, so there's no leverage play on this yet. But this moving into the daily resistance block, that's going to be, breaking this key level right here off the support, sorry, the resistance. That's your trigger. So what is that? 00015. If we're closing above there, the rocket has been fueled, prepped, and clear for launch, moving up 60%, 70%, and that'll just be the bearish retest, right? So as you can see, I'll draw a little squiggly line of what I think the most bullish scenario would look like. So say, oh my God, it somehow got above, amazing. It comes in here, gets rejected off this daily line here. It could fall all the way back to here, still be bullish, right? And honestly, this would be the most bullish thing, because massive expansion leads to a period of consolidation normally, right? So this, if we saw these lower highs, so very similarly to what we've seen here, there's the step ladder. If you see the same thing, it's signaling that there's underlying accumulation and bullish momentum brewing. So the real trade after this one, if you miss here, we'll be trading this thing up to this daily range here, right? Just above this 05 mark. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this. It's an easy invalidation, right? If the price slides below this range low here, what is that? 0.00085 or something. That's your get out, find another coin type thing. But if we do move above here, there's significant room for massive upside on this stuff. I don't know what the market cap
dirty
is.
To me, baby.
Yeah, that's just like 3 trades right there. Look at that, and that's with no leverage, right? So looks good. But for me, I'll have to wait to see.
7.5 million market cap.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's tiny.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's good. Now, damn it, I had something I was going to say, and I got lost here. But whoo.
Okay, well you find your bearings. I got DHT loaded up here as well.
Oh, good. And then Serum. Sorry, that's what it was. Serum.
Oh, yeah, Serum. I got lots of things to say about that one.
Get your popcorn, folks. No. Oh, and coin of the day. Coin of the day. I've got one that I just want to share. Make sure it's on there today. It's DeFi. It's an Oracle coming up.
Sweet. So yeah, basically on DHT, very clear chart on how to trade this, right? We just need to see this level here. So this is the real impetus, like we call it the spring, right? Like things were calm, boom, something happened, right? That's your liquidity block that, a sexy buy would be around that 08, 085 level, right? And you've already seen a couple of wicks into there, just making a series of higher lows, right? So classic flag here. But if it does dip down, where do we need to hold? We just need to hold this 80 cent level. Your targets for this, you're looking at that $1.16 and above there, we can get, if we're closing above, so I'll just draw a little squiggly line quickly of what I would be looking for a confirmed bull. So say we do get the dip that everybody needs, right, to refill this thing, creates the higher low here. Whoop. Where's she going to go? Well, first we'll get a little stop. So you can kind of already see that here with this wick here, right? So it's really respecting this daily range. I bet if you were to draw this over, it's going to somewhat line up with that. Yeah, sure enough. So yeah, you'd be probably looking for something like this, maybe bounce off there again, and then drive up to that 1.5 level. If we see an overshoot and this flips to support, holy fuck, like then we're going to get some serious price discovery between here, right? So if this is what you're looking for in terms of a bullish market structure, this should be how price will play out. So this is what I'd be looking for. And you may not get this dip again, right? This would be great if it happened, but it could easily just go sideways here and slowly drift up. But yeah, it's kind of what I'm looking for there. I can't advise purchasing it right here. Like, what's it do?
It's kind of in no man's land from that view.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know. From your view, I see a trade there where if you draw on my fib from the low to the recent high, you'd have like an RLZ that it's sitting in for those that are into fibs. But I mean, your level there, I can see middle of nowhere. Yeah. Like not your level, the price. Your level's crazy. No, it's more your price.
There's too much downside risk to take a leverage position here.
Yeah, agree.
What do you got?
Okay, what do I got? Well, first, I realized I'm about to talk about this coin. I don't even own any, and that that causes me some degree of hesitancy to name it. Although I think it's high enough volume that I'm not going to pump it by talking about it. Let's not act like we got 10,000 people watching. But if you are watching and you like what you see, maybe you're over on Periscope and you're like, holy shit, more than just Crypto Messiah streams with Hxro Labs and they talk altcoins too. Hit us up on YouTube with a like, with a sub, with a follow, all that good stuff. We'll be on 3 days a week, as most of you already know. So with that quick plug, I will quickly pull up this chart, which I'm going to say is coin of the day. Now, here's why. Because, well, I don't even own any, so there you go. But look at this thing. It's got all the things, okay? It's a DeFi coin. It's an Oracle coin, and Oracles are doing very well right now. We just looked at Band a second ago. Link, obviously, a powerhouse. What's that other one? There's one other, and I feel like I was already doing. Which one?
Aave did really well today.
Yeah. So say that again, the ticker.
Aave, AAVE.
Oh, Aave. Yeah. AAVE up at the highs, looking like it wants more. And then you've got DIA. Okay. DIA. And this is DeFi focused Oracle sliding down. I don't even have to check the momentum indicators. I can tell you right now, they are in divergence as it approached here because you can already see it in the slope. It's just losing velocity as it settles in nicely right here. I mean, look at this RSI. It was trending up well before, not just like one little quick div. I mean, it was in an uptrend, almost overbought as price is sliding down. And then you got a really nice breakout. Lots of buy volume saying, I am a bottom. Look at this. No real interest, big interest. Don't buy the pump, buy the dip. We did dip during all the Bitcoin volatility, not making new lows, not invalidating anything, but right into that sweet, sweet reload zone. Now, I actually did buy that dip, and then I got freaked out by Bitcoin, and I sold the pop. And then I bought it, and then I sold it. So I've been kind of chopping myself up here profitably, but not catching the move. And if you look at the daily, this thing is just screaming for next. As far as this echo stuff we're talking about, where DeFi is rallying, blue chip going first. Now they're onto their second leg. This thing's consolidating. I mean, watch out for DIA this week, tomorrow, today, next week. I don't know when, but I'm buying a bag. I think as we speak. I'm like looking over. I'm like, damn it, I shilled myself on this thing. It's the one bag I didn't pick up today. I picked up like 10 different alts, but DIA is my coin of the day. I think this thing's going to smoke.
That looks good. I like that.
Yeah, and I guess the next conversation is like targets. I mean, if we're going to say maybe I'm buying some, well, where am I going to be looking to sell? First of all, I'm looking at this old consolidation here. That would be a pretty aggressive target as far as like, if we're going to catch this rally over the next few weeks, I could see that. The really cool thing is there's a double in there. So I talk about this a lot. This is called the little old lady strategy from over at TRI, where I learned how to trade. And, you basically just buying things off the lows here after you get a nice little structure. You're selling half of your position at 100%. And now you take your money back. And now I have a free bag of DIA for the next year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, however long it takes to get to some FU rip face rally. Maybe it's 6 months. I don't know. But it'll be free. So I'm going to put maybe, I don't know, whatever percentage, 1%, 2%, $500, $1,000, $100, whatever that is for you. And I'm putting that in here, and I'm going to set my sell order here. And I'm going to just stop looking at it. And when I get the alert, I will have a free position in DIA for life. So hopefully that's a hot take and that goes well. I'm pretty confident in this one. Given what I've seen on things like Elrond, which is the other one I was watching almost for the exact same reasons. Kind of the same thing, right? Sliding down, bullish divergence, breakout actually on the USD pair. I was trading it. Right. Then, so I did the same thing with this. Same kind of thing. Watching it. Bought this dip. Cut all my bags the other day because Bitcoin made me shit myself. And then, missed this breakout. So on that sense, like, do you see the similarities here? This one actually looked even better because it had higher lows before the breakout. But either way.
Retest.
Oh, I know. So the daily is probably the one to look at for these altcoins instead of getting worried about 15-minute moves. Because every time Bitcoin sneezes, these things drop, 6% on a 15 minute chart, hourly chart looks gross, but zoom out. That's just this is good stuff.
I had a hard stop.
So excited. Yeah. Okay. Cool. We've got a couple more names. How many minutes did you say?
7.
Okay, 7. Let's see if we can get it in there because I want to get live tonight. If not tonight, tomorrow morning. But I'd really like to get on tonight, get my PS4 Pro hooked up, and play some Fall Guys. So if anybody here is watching, likes to play that or wants to join me, we'll be in the lab either later tonight or tomorrow with the producer, and we're gonna just kick it, look at some live trades, some analysis, play this goofy little game with cartoon marshmallows. It's very addictive.
We got NSURE pulled up here.
Yeah, that's the one I was actually just about to do. Why don't you take it?
Okay. Yeah, it's a messy one. It looks like a low liquidity coin on Uniswap. But this is a pretty good daily level. It's been forming down here, right? What is that price? 0.00093-ish. So any placing some bids. Well, I guess I can't place bids there yet, but trying to scoop up this level looks pretty good. It's a pretty clear invalidation point below that daily level. In terms of targets, there's so many fucking wicks here. It's only traded for what, less than but not even a month yet. So forgive me if these things aren't as accurate as we normally are. There's just not a lot of data to go off of. However, what we will be looking for is if we can get above this little daily block right here. So call this our resistance here in the short term. If we can be closing above this level here, I'd be looking for a range expansion back up to 0.004, which is what I think that's probably a pretty significant move with these low value coins. Yeah, 26%. So not as big as I thought, but still not bad either. So that's what I'd be looking for in there. We got a little bit of higher lows here forming, so that's it's kind of bullish, but we don't have that higher high just yet. But yeah, it looks like maybe a little bit of accumulation going on. I have no idea what this project does, but this is what I see in the technical. It's just some higher lows off the.
That's an insurance play.
Okay, yeah, I think insurance is a vertical that's still there's no clear winner just yet. Maybe Nexus Mutual will be a front runner, but I think it's still there's still some competition to be had there. So yeah, keeping an eye on that. I think that is a sector I should be looking at a little bit closer is the insurance side of things. But that's what I'm looking for. Looks okay on the daily here. I would get out if it breaks the daily lows here at 0.093. Other than that, I think it can move up from here to right now 25-26% move if we can clear this daily block.
Beauty. Gorgeous. Okay, checking back in on the chat. What else we got? DHC Key. Yeah, we kind of looked at all those. Team got acquired by TrustSwap. Shout out to TrustSwap. Great acquisition. Unfortunately, I think for Team holders, they get a 1.8 kind of swap. I don't know what that is value-wise, but I did hear some rumblings that it wasn't ideal. But it's business, and big shout out to TrustSwap for growing. You check out Serum. I'm going to pull up NFY, and I think we can wrap there. Maybe quickie on bot.
Sure. Yeah, Serum, obviously the volumes have been rising there. I know Solana is going to be enabling their staking as well pretty soon. I expect a markup here on Serum and Solana after the distributions in January. Once those are clear, I think the elephant in the room will be, put out to pasture at that point. The liquidity will get absorbed into the market, and this can, finally start its, market discovery. But for now, looks good on the 3-day. It's pretty clear which levels we need to see cleared. Price needs to be closing above this 1.3 level here, right? So it's kind of just in this nice little, almost a very ascendy triangle-ish, right? What are we going to be looking for then? Well, if we do get a close above here, nice move, up to the top of the range here off this 3-day chart, right? 30%, and things get really interesting. So if we move up here to 1.6, this is what the most bullish scenario would look like for Serum. And I'll probably get this going into January, February would be my guess if I had to put a time on it. So something like this, retrace, maybe turn this into support or something, so pull it off there, higher low. And then, once the distributions for Solana are done in January, we could start seeing some actual price discovery. First target would be around this, $2.1, $2.2 range. Nice 3-day level there, right? Just like that. Next level, obviously, going to be up here around 2.4, 2.5. And then it's the fucking thin air trade, right? So you got 3 great trades. You got trade number 1 from here to here. You got trade number 2 within this range here to here. And like the real money maker is going to be, wow, that was a really bad 3. Is going to be capturing this range, right? Volume profile, huge fucking void, right? This is natural, right? This will fill up as we spend more time in these consolidation levels, right? You can clearly see that, right? So yeah, it's kind of what I'm looking for. It looks good. I like the underlying protocol that it's sitting on top of as well, so that's always fantastic. But to get really bullish, we're going to have to see, for an actual bull trend to form here, we're going to have to start seeing a close above 1.7. Otherwise, we're kind of just in this consolidation range, which I expect will carry out for another month at least.
Yeah. I think we should end all of my excessive bullish enthusiasm by just pointing out that a lot of these altcoin trades that I'm making right now, this excitement I have is like 3 weeks. For what it's worth. I mean, I'm going to follow the trend, and if it doesn't top or look really toppy and whatever, but I expect some end of year holiday selling, but I do expect, and I'm hoping, and I'm taking trades off of the assumption that we could see some very exciting altcoin gains in the next little bit. But the nice thing is, I take that little approach. I'm going to be selling on doubles. I'm going to be taking profits, keeping some while selling some, and then I'm kind of covered either way. If they roll back over, it's a free position. I'll hold it for next year. I might even add another one in the chamber when it comes back down. But if it runs like crazy, then I've got my half position left, and I'm going to keep selling halves on the next double, and that's how I'm playing this one. But yeah, I think as long as Bitcoin is going to live in this range, maybe we'll end here. Are you going to do Litecoin?
I mean, I could do Litecoin. It's one of the majors.
I didn't want to cut you off if you're looking to do that one.
Yeah, we could do it for sure. I think we were talking about it just the other day and quickly move it out to the daily. It's just such a beautiful chart in the sense of like it respected the TA so well. It's pretty obvious why things have paused here. This was a big level around it. It was $92, $95. But you can see a classic Wyckoff throwback, massive support, rebought it. If you zoom in on this, the case could be made for a cup and handle. There's also a daily inside bar. I won't get into that too much, but it's a setup pattern. What we're going to be, pardon me?
For a short, correct?
No, so an inside bar, it's agnostic for directions. So how you trade an inside bar would be something like this. So if price is to close above the, this is your bar, right? The breakout candle.
My eyes are dusty.
So yeah, how you trade this is that price is consolidating within this daily candle bar, right? So what we're looking for, if the market closes above, like say 87, we'll say $88, just to be cautious. Closing above $88, that's going to trigger the upside trade, right? So you'd be then looking for a trade up to the range there at 101, right? However, if price were to for some reason close below the trade, right, it'll activate probably a retest. So in terms of like percentage movements, I generally use a measured move from the bar itself. So yeah, exactly. Looking at 11 to 12% movement, and that kind of aligns with that, and then that would kind of align with the retest of the bullish throwback level down there. So yeah, there's multiple reasons to be keeping an eye on LTC right now. It's obviously confirmed the bullish momentum down at these levels. Now it's the big move, the consolidation, and then we'll get another big ripper, right? In terms of the direction, you're just waiting. It's either going to close the daily above 88, trigger the upside trade, or it's going to close below 78 and trigger the downside trade. I don't care either way. I'm just waiting for the setup to trigger. And in terms of why this level is going to be significant, it could overshoot the 105 or something. But yeah, this is just the daily block that we consolidated at as resistance before it fell off a cliff, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And what LTC could get really interesting if we're above these levels. You'd probably be looking for somewhere around here. and then obviously, all the way up to the range. So that's what I'll be looking for on LTC. I'm not in a trade on there just yet.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I was looking at it as a short proxy if I was feeling bearish because it was still up at the highs when somewhat of Bitcoin and ETH were rolling over. But yeah, I've kind of changed my tune after our chat in the last few days. I've had a few good chats exploring these sort of macro viewpoints and just kind of coming to the realization that the cat's out of the bag. We're in a very aggressive bullish trend. It was not a blow off top. And if we do pull back, it will be fairly short term, I will say, even 3 to 6 months at the max. And so I don't want to miss the upside. So I'm, that's sort of, it's the way I see it. And I'm sticking to that. And like I said earlier in the show, if we break down, I'll have to reassess and maybe look for some scalp shorts or whatever I'm going to do along the way down to protect some of my capital. Now, let's end with this. This is what I see for December. This is how I'm seeing it anyways. This is all just noise. I just wrote this on the chart. It does not mean it has to live in here, but I could see this range taking place. And until it breaks to the highs, I'm in altcoins. Until it breaks to the lows, I'm in altcoins. And if it does break above here, I'm going to be selling those altcoins to Bitcoin and Ethereum, probably in equal parts, if nothing else, maybe even a little extra Bitcoin, because that might be, that'll all come back to this chart, depending on what dominance says. Dominance is dropping, Ethereum. If dominance is trending up, Bitcoin. So that's what I'm waiting for. So, if you want to follow along, you can, of course, watch us here on Hero Labs Live, or you can set alerts at 2,000 or 20,001. That would be a big red signal for me to get the fuck out of alts. I was wrong. It's not going to be a season. If we break down, even below here, I want to know. I got an alert set that could be some warning signs. That could be buy the dip. That could be get the hell out. We'll see. But if we break below here, I'm right back to my cash heavy position, and that's just the way it's got to be.
Cool. Well, I have to jet, so this is a great spot.
You gotta run. The chats have been so active today, guys. I really appreciate y'all coming in here. It is a hot, exciting time to be in the market, and we could be on the edge of something really big for just the next 3 weeks. I mean, for the next few years, but I'm looking at the 3-week window as a very lucrative potential session. So let's flip back to our studio. Nick's got a jet. I'm going to go take a little break and then hopefully get my PS4 Pro hooked up and maybe get on Fall Guys tonight because it's just a fun game. Got a few trades going. It'd be nice to watch the charts with all y'all. So catch us on Twitch if that happens. If you're not already subscribed, that is at Hero Labs. I don't know. How do I forget our Twitch name? I haven't been on there in a few months. But check us out on Twitch because that will notify you if you do end up going live tonight. Tomorrow for sure. And with that, we're going to have to cut. Sorry, Chris. We got a few extra requests in here, but you can always ping us on Twitter and hopefully we can get a chart out for you. There's so many things to look at right now. So I would say watch for volume. That means people are buying. That's probably the next one to get going. And that's how I thin out the herd. Till next time, everybody. Have a wonderful... Oh, last thing. Shout out BTC Jack Sparrow coming on the stream on Monday. So if you haven't already, circle that on your calendar. Guy is smart as hell. Really excited to see what he and I can uncover on the charts on that show. That's Monday, December 7th. Till next time, everybody. Whatever you do, always play from a position of strength. Take care.
Have a good day.